Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. It is a gorgeous summer evening and I just had to run outside and I had to show off the beauty that is here right now. I love evenings like this that are warm. You can wear a t-shirt. You can just enjoy yourself as the day kind of winds down. And so I thought today would be a perfect day to do my June front yard garden tour for you all. Here on my channel, I do a garden tour every month. I do one for my front yard and one for my backyard. And this is for a couple reasons. One is just to, show you guys how my garden is progressing throughout the year, but then also I do it for myself so that I can look back at how my garden is progressing. And I think that I am getting so much benefit out of doing these garden tours every month. I know I've told you guys that in my past garden tours, but I am just so happy to see it. And then when I sit down and I put the videos next to each other, it's just incredible. I mean, this annual border is amazing. So Jason and I have been working really hard this month in the garden, specifically our oak tree garden bed that's around the corner from our house. We live on a corner lot in a town in Northern California called Davis, and right around the corner from our, the front, this is the front yard. Around the corner we have an oak tree garden bed that we planted up this month, and I'm really excited about this garden bed because I really focused on finding plants that would work really well with our native California oak trees. Here in California, our oak trees need to have as little water as possible. They're used to drought tolerance. It can actually harm them if you over irrigate them and put too many water loving plants underneath them. So for this garden bed, I really focused on California natives, low water requiring plants, and my goal was to still have it be beautiful, and I love it. I cannot wait to show you. So let's get started over there. Okay, so starting over here in my oak tree garden bed, the reason why we call it the oak tree garden bed is, of course, this gorgeous oak tree that I absolutely love. It borders my neighbor's property. His house is right there. I should say their house is right there. So it's about half and half. I would say it's a little bit more on his property. But this whole area, we really wanted to focus on plants that would work well underneath that beautiful oak tree. I think the variety of that is a valley oak. I'm not totally sure, don't quote me on that, but I know it is a California native oak, and all California native oaks like low water. So every single plant I planted in this garden bed is a low water plant. I also found a California Oak Foundation, I'll link them below, but it was this whole booklet on plants that were appropriate to plant underneath the canopy of an oak tree. Of course, you don't want to plant anything too close to the oak, so you can see we left a nice big ring around it, and I'm going to come in with some compost. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. I'm going to come in with some compost and put it all around there, just a thin layer, which the Oak Tree Foundation said that was a really good thing to do. But I kind of just kept things as far away as I possibly could, with still planting it under the canopy of the tree, which is okay. So just to quickly go through here, one of my favorite plants that I planted is the Status or Sea Lavender. And this one, I actually got the idea from my neighbor's garden bed across the street, and it's so beautiful, and it blooms this gorgeous purple every single year. And it's of course a very low water needing plant. So I dotted them all around this whole garden bed. You can see this is my neighbor's side, that's my side, and they agreed to have me kind of meld the two together because we thought it would look really pretty, kind of just going through here and just kind of continuing on, and I think it just turned out beautiful. So I have the Sea Lavender or Status there. Then I did put in these heuchera, and these are called citronelle, and they're just this lime green heuchera that I have to say is doing really well. A couple of them are scorching a little bit with some of the sun. Of course, the lighter the leaves, the more they're going to scorch. So I might have to transplant a couple of these. This whole garden bed gets dappled light because of the leaf canopy of the oak. And my neighbor and I, we take care of this oak and we prune it and keep it pretty well pruned. So there is a lot of light coming through. So, it might burn a couple of the leaves of the heuchera, but I think overall it's going to be pretty happy. And you can see there, it just looks gorgeous. So then I dotted it around with some pincushion flower, scabiosa. It's not really in bloom right now, but that's another very, very low water requiring plant. And in my zone, zone 9B, these are all perennial. So they're gonna be really, really happy. Probably the star of the shows is this Pugster Blue butterfly bush, or buddleia. I got, let's see, 5, 6 of these and just dotted them around, and they're not going to get huge. They're gonna stay 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, hopefully. I heard one of you commented that your Pugster Blue got huge. So let's hope that mine doesn't do the same thing, because I kind of want them to be on the small side. And I think that they're beautiful and they're gonna bloom, and I've seen bees on them already. Absolutely beautiful. One of the plants I love the most that, you know, really doesn't look like anything right now because it's so small. This is called a Cleveland sage. And it is, they call it one of the sweetest smelling sages that there are. And I mean, I'm telling you guys, if you can go to the garden center and even just smell this plant, I'm sure you would want it in your garden. Now, here's the problem. It gets 5 foot tall by 5 foot wide. So I left a huge area for this plant, and I actually want to do a couple more over there just because I love the smell. It does get some purple blooms on it, but my goodness, the smell of this, I can't get over it. I just think it smells so incredibly wonderful. And I don't know if you can use this in cooking. I'll have to look that up, but that would be incredible if you could. You can see back here, dotted throughout there, and then even a little bit more over to my side, there are ferns. And you kind of think, why would there be ferns underneath a California native oak? That doesn't make any sense. Well, these are called southern sword ferns. And these ferns, I actually have these in my front yard and my backyard. They're very common around here, and they are a low water requiring fern. So they are technically a fern. You can see they're they kind of roll up their leaves or roll out their leaves. They spread by rhizomes, I want to say. They thrive in our climate. So if you have a hot, dry climate and you really want that ferny look, go for something like this. And they get big. They really, really fill out. I will show you guys once I get to my front yard. I will show you guys where I have these, that I actually took them as cuttings, and they are massive now at this point. So I dotted those all around. I think those will be really, really good structure plants along with the buddleia. And then I have this one right here, and this is a mock orange, or a Philadelphias. This is a Belle Etoile variety. It looks like nothing because it's the tiniest little plant. I actually got it from Annie's Annuals earlier this season, like in the winter. And I'm so excited about it. I'm really, really excited. It's going to get 5 feet tall and have these beautiful white blooms on it. So very excited about that. My neighbor down the street has this one as well, kind of in the same lighting situation as this. So I think it'll be really good. And when I saw that on the Oak Tree Foundation list of plants that were okay to plant under an oak tree, done. I knew I wanted to have that one there. So I'm really excited I had that from Annie's Annuals, kind of just sitting in the wings. One of the first projects I did in this garden bed is I transplanted these plumbagos, all 5 of them. I transplanted from my cottage garden over there, and I realized they were way too big to have in my cottage garden, and they kind of just started taking over everything, and I've already cut them back. It was in the cottage garden, and I thought, okay, this isn't gonna work. So one of you had a fantastic suggestion and said transplant them over to the fence over here and then espalier them, which is exactly what I did. Transplanting them was a beast. If you guys saw that video, I ended up having to break it up into 2 videos because the roots on these guys, oh my, I mean, I am not exaggerating when I say that big. We had to get, Jason and I had to get huge, huge pruners and really just chop at them just to get them out. So I was sure I had killed all of them. I was sure they were done. But I really babied them, I watered them, I took care of them, and now they are actually starting to bounce back. So I don't think they're gonna really start filling out this espalier. You can see I hooked it with an eye hook to the fence. You can see there's a, what do you call it, like a stud, the horizontal beam right there. That's where I hooked all the eye hooks to, and then I just did wire. And this is how I do all my espaliers in my house, around my home. And so you know, because they're plumbago, I don't think that they're going to be nice and neat and clean espaliers, but I do think that I'm going to be able to train them up into the diamond shape pattern. And I think that they're starting to look good. Even this one that struggled absolutely the most and I had to cut way back, it's doing so much better. So overall, this garden bed, I have to say, is, I'm so happy with it. Here is Liriope. I think I pronounced it right, or lily turf, and you can see it's kind of just dotted all along the side of the sidewalk, and my plan is to get more and kind of fill it in so it's kind of a border of the Liriope all the way here. And this plant actually was here. These two were here in my garden bed, and my neighbor had theirs over there. They thrive in this garden bed. Really are happy here. So I'm excited to have them, to get more of them and to have it just kind of border this whole pathway. You can see the scabiosa. This one's a little bit happier here. I got a lot of blooms going there, so it's going to be pretty. So I did go for a purple theme here in this garden, and the whole reason why I did that is because my neighbor's house is this buttery, beautiful yellow. And if you look on a color wheel, the complementary color to yellow is purple, which is why I wanted to do that. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. Most of my garden beds, I just put all the color in and think about coordinating it later. And this garden bed, I really planned it out and thought about it and focused on what my end point was going to be. And I'm really proud of it. I really am happy with it. Okay, and then just over from that, we have our fairy gardens. This is my daughter's fairy garden. I have two daughters, 7 and 8 right now, and we play, you know, we redo this fairy garden pretty much every season is what we're planning. It's doing okay. We really didn't focus a lot, you know, I didn't really think about the lighting requirements or the water requirements of these plants. So you see I have a sunflower right there, and then I have coleus over there. So it really doesn't make any sense. We were just picking it out because of color, but they're enjoying it. If you guys can see that, somebody left a unicorn for them, which was very cute. Somebody had the gnomes have a little party over here. So all the neighbor kids come out and they play with this, and their parents take them over, and you know, it's part of their evening walk. It's so cute. I absolutely love it. So I think as long as my kids are willing to do this with me, I think I'm going to continue doing this fairy garden because it's a fun project that we can do together, and I think it's really good for the neighborhood as well. So when you do focus on a certain area of your garden, I feel like another area gets kind of left in the dust and gets neglected and doesn't get thought about, and that is my cottage garden right now. I have just stopped thinking about it. Pretty much all the perennials are in their summer lull at this point, and then we had to transplant all those plumbagos that were here. So we really trampled quite a lot of the plants that were in this cottage garden. So this is going to be something that I'm going to have to work on. I did want to show you guys my false stem spirea. Oh, look at this bloom. I didn't think mine were going to bloom because I kind of put it in a shady area underneath this birch tree. It is loving its life right now, and I just love the blooms that it has. So this plant, I was inspired by Hooked and Rooted Steph. She lives over in Massachusetts. She has a wonderful YouTube channel, and she had a garden tour and she pointed out this plant, and then I figured out that this plant is hardy zones like 2 through 11, like basically all of it. And so yes, it is kind of a thug. It does get runners, just like the plumbago does. But this is a very small garden bed. I'm not too worried about it, and so far it's been wonderful. I've been enjoying it so much, and I actually wouldn't mind if it got even a little bit bigger. I think it's really pretty. So I'm super happy with this purchase. I think that this was a fantastic plant. So moving this way, all my delphiniums were here. I cut them all back. My lupin were here. I cut them all back. I actually, oh, looks a little diseased right there. I'll have to check on that. But I did, before we went on vacation, I came and I just threw in some SUPERTUNIA that I had in my greenhouse, and I had to get them out, and they are starting to flush out. They're looking beautiful. You can see I have my SUPERTUNIA Royal Velvet right here. This is SUPERTUNIA Fuchsia, SUPERTUNIA Bubblegum, SUPERTUNIA VISTA Bubblegum. This is a VISTA as well. And then SUPERTUNIA VISTA Snowdrift. Absolutely gorgeous. And then here is the one plumbago that I decided to keep in this cottage garden bed, and I am training it up this tutor. So I'm just kind of making sure that all these pieces kind of stay inside this little area. And if I need to I've been trimming on the bottom, and I'll continue to trim just to keep it kind of controlled. But I did see I am getting buds, which I didn't think I was going to get buds this year. So I'm so excited. I didn't think I was going to get buds because I cut it way back, and it does bloom on new wood, but I thought I just chopped it down way too far for it. But I'm going to get some beautiful blue blooms. So very excited about that. And then right behind that, I have a heliotrope, another one that I got from Annie's Annuals. I think it has a little bit of chlorosis to it because the leaves have that dark veining. And then I'll show you guys my other heliotrope over there that's just looking gorgeous. I'm just not really familiar with this variety. What? Oh my gosh, I thought those were bugs, but they're not. They're just the dried up buds. That's so funny. Okay, never mind. I thought it was some mutant aphid infestation or something like that, but it's just the dried up, the buds that had fallen off. That was really funny. Okay, so moving on, I do have my Eden climbing roses that I got from Heirloom Roses, and they are climbing up this arch, this trellis. This is the lattice arch from Kinsman Garden Supply. I'll link this below for you guys, but they've been struggling I mean, they're doing fantastic. Look at how tall this one is, right? And I just planted this last November. However, here's a good example. It's been hot. It's been really hot for this poor plant. You know, and roses do suffer in the heat. And so I can't decide if I'm actually going to fertilize it in July because I don't want it to grow and that to happen. You know, I'll just kind of watch the weather and see how it does. But I'm just kind of letting it grow, and then I'll come in and I'll start really training it all along the lattice. And I want it to grow up and over and then have beautiful pale pink roses. The Eden climbing roses are gorgeous. I did have to cut back my Shasta daisies. Those were in full bloom. I think for my May garden tour, I had to cut them back, which is a bummer, but I should get another kind of half flush. But I do have this. This is called a purple hyacinth bean. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm kind of just training it up this pole right here. It's not a stop sign or anything like that. But I just think it's so pretty. I have this in my backyard and I love it. And then, star of the show, my annuals. These are gorgeous. These are all from proven winners. I have the SUPERTUNIA VISTA JAZZBERRY, which is new for this year, and I have to say this plant is gorgeous. The best way that I can describe this plant, this flower, is it's like a cartoon. It's like a drawing. It's so perfect, and I mean, it just looks fake. It just looks so incredibly beautiful. I love it. It stops me in my track for how beautiful it is. Along this swoop, I usually do a mono planting, and it's usually SUPERTUNIA Bubblegum. And I go all the way through, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This year, I changed it up a little bit, and I got Snow Princess Lobularia. I got the SUPERTUNIA VISTA JAZZBERRY, and then I got the Sweet Caroline, Sweet Heart Lime, Sweet Potato Vine. And I'm wanting them all to mix together, and you can see they're starting to kind of mix in. I mean, just in the last 2 weeks, they've completely covered all the mulch that I had underneath here. It was funny because I did have some weeds kind of starting to grow in this garden bed, and I thought, oh, I'm just gonna leave it and see what happens. And of course, they all took over, and now I don't have to worry about it anymore because they're gonna just smother out all the weeds. So I love my front annual swoop. I always reserve this little spot just for annuals because I just think the pop of color that annuals gives, it's just, you just can't beat it. It's just so beautiful. One thing that I need to do, that I'm gonna do this next month, you can see my garden bed behind it. it's looking pretty dark compared to the brightness of this. So I'm gonna have to go get some annuals and dot them throughout there. I did that last year. I didn't do it this year because what I wanted to focus on was putting some bonus plantings of my cut flower garden in there, but it's just not showing enough color as much as I would want. And the intensity of this color is making that look even less colorful than before. I did have my glads bloom, my gladiolas bloom this month, and they were beautiful. But of course, once they start to fall over and once they start to kind of wane, I just went in and I pruned them all. So yeah, I just don't have much color back there. You know, I'm talking about back here right now, but I don't think anyone's really looking at that. I think everybody's looking at this. At least I'm looking at this. Okay, so before I forget, I am going to point out this bush. This is called Breath of Heaven. There's another official name for it, and I can't remember it, but I'll put it down below. But this is a shrub. It's one of my foundation shrubs, and I always just go right past it in my garden tours, and I get so many comments. What was that chartreuse bush? What was that big lime green bush? It is Breath of Heaven. It is absolutely beautiful. These are really popular in our area. They do like full sun. If you put it in less than full sun, they do kind of get a little bit scraggly. In the spring, they will bloom with these little tiny petite pink blooms. They're beautiful, but it's almost not worth it. Like, you don't need to worry about it. I love mine. I have one here and I have one over there. I do have one here. Look at the difference. So here, this one's in pretty much full sun, and this one is underneath my crepe myrtle tree. And just the color and just the scraggliness, it's just, they don't even look like the same plant. That one versus that one. This one is like light, you know, it's like electrified. So yeah, this is a beautiful plant. It does get huge. I do kind of prune it back a little bit, but not enough. So, you know, I don't know. This was here when I first moved in. I really do like it. I think that foundation plants are important, but it's getting a little big for my taste. So I'm gonna have to decide whether I'm gonna just totally start over or prune it way back, which is probably what I'm going to do first, or just kind of take it out and try something totally new. One of my favorite, actually two of my favorite plants, they're right next to each other. This is a Salvia Mist Expires Blue. I love it. Can you guys see how many bees are on it right now? I'm going to hold still so that they move around. They're just, every single time I come out here, there's so many bees on it. And I love this plant because even when the blooms are done, like this one is pretty much done, you can't even tell, right? Because the calyx is still that blue color. It's absolutely beautiful. And it just blooms its little head off all season long with new blooms coming, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I love it. Come winter, I cut it way back, you know, just a couple inches tall, and then it flushes out like this every year. I just love this plant, and I have it all over my garden, and I love it. And I love it with this lamb's ear, this Helen Von Stein lamb's ear. This is another one I have all over my garden because it's so beautiful. I love this silvery color. I love the fuzziness of it, the texture of it, and I think the comparison, I mean, look at this, with the yellow Breath of Heaven, with the green Salvia, and then with the silver Helen Von Stein. It's just so beautiful. I do want to put a couple more, like really fill it out. I'll probably do that later this year, or excuse me, later this month. Here I did have a bunch of lavender, a bunch of Spanish lavender, and it's beautiful when it blooms, And this is kind of a big spot for me, like a really upfront spot. So I knew I kind of wanted to take it out because lavender, especially Spanish lavender, it blooms really well in the spring, and then it kind of lulls on and off all around this, all through the summer. The pollinators absolutely love it, but I was just kind of iffy about it. So I just decided to take it out. And so I think I'm going to put some annuals there for now. Right here, this is a Santa Barbara Salvia. This is the white version, and I did put the purple version over in my oak tree garden bed, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. This plant, you can almost guarantee it's going to be one of the last to bloom in the whole season. So I had this one still blooming in November of last year, which was totally beautiful. Right here, these spiky ones, these are called Blazing Star Liatris. I actually got these bulbs from Costco, believe it or not, and I planted them all around, and I'm actually cutting them and using them for bouquets, and they're beautiful. I have some more over there, and then more over this way as well. Really pretty, really interesting plant, you know, kind of like a really unique plant. Yeah, I just think that they're gorgeous. Over here is part of my bonus planting of my cut flower garden. This is Bells of Ireland. I love, love, love this plant. And especially now that I know how to sow it, they're very hard to germinate. And what you do is you put the seeds in a wet paper towel, and then you put that in a plastic baggie, and it's almost 100% guarantee you'll get tons of seeds. So I had so many seeds this year for the Bells of Ireland. These are just all I could fit in this little area, and I've been cutting on these two for my cut flower garden. They're perfect in the cut flower garden. I make a bouquet every Monday, and 2 Mondays ago I did a bouquet and I had these and in them, and you know, keep pulling out the flowers that are fading, and these guys are still going nice and strong. So they're just a fantastic flower for the cut flower garden. Right behind that, I do have some poppies growing, and they're about ready to bloom. I don't know if you can see their buds right there. I totally forgot what variety is back there. Here I have Verbena bonariensis. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. If you're not familiar with it, be careful planting it, because this is all weeds from last year. This is all self-sown, and I went through and I took as many of these out as I could, and they are all self-sowing themselves. So you know, I feel horrible taking them out, but I need to get rid of them. And I knew it when I planted them last year. Last year I had them all up here, and it was really, really beautiful, but they're all over now. I mean, it is a mess. So be careful if you guys plant Verbena bonariensis. Holy moly. Look at this dragonfly. Oh no. Stay. I can't even focus on it because its wings are transparent. It's gorgeous. Okay, moving on. I'm bothering this poor dragonfly. There, look at that. I've never seen a dragonfly like that before. So beautiful. Okay, getting distracted with the beautiful dragonfly. It's gorgeous, it's still there. All right, so over here I have my Chinese fringe flower, or Laura Pedlum. It's really beautiful. I love it. I have a couple dotted all around my garden. They're getting out of hand, just like the breath of heaven. It's just, I have to prune them back. I'm nervous about it because I've never done it before, but all my research that I've done on it say that they take really well to pruning, so it should be fine. I just have to get out here and do it. But part of my problem is that I have this Chinese fringe flower that basically doubled in size in the last year. And this is like this beautiful dark purple color. It's gorgeous in the summer. In the winter, it has these bright pink blooms that just bring color to the winter. So I love them. I don't want to get rid of them. I'm keeping these plants. However, I have this Vertigo pennisetum from Proven Winners, this monster, and I love it. I think it's the coolest plant ever. It's beautiful. It gets massive. This started off as a 4-inch can. It's a perennial in my zone, so it actually came back for me this year. I cut it way back over the winter, but look, it's dark, dark, and dark over here. So it's just too much dark. I gotta bring some color and some bright pops to this area. This whole area needs it. And I can see that. I can totally see that I need to work on that. And that's okay. You know, a garden is it's constantly changing. You're constantly adjusting it. This plant was so small, it didn't really bother me at all that it was dark versus dark. But now that it's gotten bigger, it's just too much. So, you know, that's part of gardening. That's what you do. So that is something I'm going to be working on. I have no ideas for it right now, but I'm going to be thinking about it. Okay, here I am on the other side of the Vertigo pennisetum. Look at this gorgeous sunflower. This is called a buttercream sunflower. It is a branching sunflower. beautiful, so beautiful. I love this, the dark of the Vertigo, and then the it's like this pale yellow of these sunflowers. Super excited about these. I planted these in my bonus cut flower garden, so I'm going to be cutting on these. I already am planning on it, but I just think that they're so beautiful. I just think that they're gorgeous. So, and then you can see right behind there, my beautiful, beautiful limelights. I just can't imagine having a garden and not having limelight hydrangeas. In June, when they start flushing out and they start blooming, it's just happiness to me. I just absolutely love it. And I love it with the Mystic Spires Salvia. I just think that combination is gorgeous. So this plant and then this star jasmine right here, I've been having trouble with these two plants. I did a troubleshooting video on what I was going to do with it, and I did add some chelated iron to it, and then I actually added some more drippers to this star jasmine. I have to say it looks better already. It still doesn't look great. It's still, you know, you can still see issues, but I haven't seen this plant as like robust, you know, and happy as I've seen it right now. I haven't seen it like this in a really long time. So I think I'm on the right track with the more water and the chelated iron. I think that it's going to make a big difference. And you can see I even have some new growth, which I haven't had that in a really long time. Oh, look. Oh, yes. So I think I'm on the right track with troubleshooting this. This one still does have some chlorosis. Of course, you know, hydrangeas always get chlorosis in our climate, and it's just kind of a constant battle that I do have to deal with. Here is another Chinese fringe flower that's kind of taking over. I have to cut that one back as well. And I actually want to totally redo this garden bed. You know, I want it to be, when I started this garden bed, it was all like silvery whites and purples, and it was very calming and it was really beautiful. And then I just started adding in color, of course, because I love color. But I want to kind of take it back down to the calming, peaceful, take all this dianthus out. I know I keep saying that in every garden tour, but I'm gonna do it. I just have to get around to doing it. And I just want this giarden bed to be nice and calm and peaceful. Here is another bonus planting that I have, and this is the giant China Aster giant apricot. Am I saying that right? I'll put it down on the screen. These are just kind of the first few, so they're gonna get a lot more petally, more petals than this. At least that's what happened last time I grew these. But I really, really love that flower as a cut flower. All right, and then coming over on this side, this is my, I'm gonna say it wrong, ABUTILON or flowering maple. Starting to get a couple buds on it. It's not blooming a lot, but it's not really the time of year for it to bloom a ton right now. I have a Limelight Prime right now that's covered in buds, so that's gonna be absolutely beautiful. Beautiful hostas underneath. And then this is my Tiny Tough Stuff mountain hydrangea. And you can see that the blooms have faded. They were a beautiful blue. I am getting another flush kind of starting out, so that's exciting. But I just like this. I think it looks pretty just like this, these older blooms. And I'm just gonna leave it because I think it's pretty. I am getting some new growth on it, so hopefully next year it'll keep growing. This is English ivy that I espaliered. Yes, it does get attached to my house, but I just kind of go through and do this. There's wire there, and I just make sure that the English ivy stays on the wire and stays off of the siding, and it works pretty well. I just have to stay on top of it. If you guys are gonna do any project like this with English ivy, just know it's like a weekly chore. You have to be prepared, or it would take over and this whole thing would be covered in ivy. But I think it's worth it. I love it. You see that as you drive by, and it's just, to me, it just is my garden. It's just a really important part of my garden. So I think I'll always have that. Okay, so moving this way, this is what I want to point out. This is heliotrope, common heliotrope. Now, I have to say it is poisonous to dogs, to pets, right? So if you have a dog or a cat that eats plants, don't plant this one, or do it like my dog and cat leave my plants alone. But this is actually in the front yard where they don't come, so I don't even have to worry about it. But I love this plant. I am absolutely in love with it. It is my favorite plant. It's just so gorgeous. And here's the thing, you guys, it's the smell. it's the smell. As soon as I walk out my front door, I get a whiff of this beautiful vanilla scent that this heliotrope has. And you can see these leaves are a lot darker than the other version. It's a different variety, the one over by my Plumbago tutor. You know, those flowers are a lot lighter, so you just can't beat this. This is called common heliotrope. This is the generic version. This is a generic plant. You know, you get it at your garden center. It is an annual, except for in zone 10. However, I planted this last year and it wintered over. I did cover it when we had a couple frosts. I just threw a harvest guard over it and I thought it died, but it came back and it's absolutely beautiful. And it is just, I want this whole area to be common heliotrope. I just love it so much. I think it is such a beautiful plant. Right behind it is my Surefire Rose Begonia, and they have really bulked up and gotten really big. My neighbor dropped off some pots. He was getting rid of them, so he thought I would enjoy them, and I do enjoy them. So thank you, Ed. So here are my Surefire Rose Begonia. They're absolutely beautiful. I love this color. I had them in the shade last year. I wintered these over as well. And in the shade last year, they were this light, kind of washed out pink color, but when I put them here, they get morning sun, probably until like noon or something like that. I just love this color. I think it's so beautiful, and with the heliotrope, I just want more. I just want way more of this. And then I have my Wichita Blue Juniper right there. I have another Limelight Prime right there. I'm just loving this garden bed. I think it's so pretty, and I cannot wait for it to be totally filled out. So I'm gonna go to the plant store and I'm gonna look for more of these and more of those for sure. So this month we also got this window replaced, which is very exciting. Don't look in my garage, it's a mess. But I just think it just looks so much more beautiful. We had a really old, you know, like single pane window there before, and it just didn't look very good. So we got it replaced to match all the other windows we have, and I'm super excited about it. Right in front, I do have this window box. This is kind of a fail. I'm having some watering issues. I had 2 of them die, and then I'm having another 2 really struggle over here. So I'm not sure if I just kind of packed it in a little too tightly, or I don't know. I did something wrong this time. They're still kind of living, do you know what I mean? They're like trugging along a little bit, but they are definitely struggling, and I'm really bummed about that. So I've stopped watering this via the drip, right? Because I felt like it was getting too much water, and I'm just hand watering it, and I just can't get a hold on it. So I'm just gonna leave it until it just looks absolutely terrible. But it's kind of a bummer. I'm really kind of disappointed about that. But that's what happens in a garden. You know, sometimes these are Riger begonias, and I love them. They're so beautiful. I had them in here last year, and they did fantastic. They were beautiful. They performed better than the Proven Winners brand varieties. I had both of them in here, and I liked the Rigers better, but this year, I don't know what's going on. They're just not happy. Okay, so over here, I wanted to show you, this is my Southern Sword Fern, and I think there's 3 plants here that all 3 of them I propagated. So all you do is you take a plant and you kind of, you know, you divide it, and then you just plant just a little plug, and it grows to this. It's absolutely beautiful. It does not need a lot of water. It's gorgeous. And then right in front of it is this tall blue planet ageratum, or floss flower, and it's so frustrating because I'm looking on the screen on my phone right now, and I'm looking at them in real life. This is blue. On the screen it looks purple. I wish that there was a way that I could show you all the gorgeous color, other than just to say, grow this. I grew it from seed. It's a cut flower. I got the seeds from Johnny Selected Seeds. Grow this plant. It's absolutely beautiful in real life, and it just doesn't come across on the camera well at all, but it's really beautiful. Let's see, I'm gonna go over here and then I'll get to my crepe myrtle garden bed. Okay, so here I have my star jasmine. It's looking a little mangy. I have to get up there and I have to train it. I do have this. This is not on my eaves. There's another wire. I use wire all over my house, and I hook all the plants to the wire. So I just have to make sure that I keep training it there. You can see it's starting to kind of fall down right there. So I just have to get up there and I have to fix it. Over here, this is a salvia, and I don't remember the name of it. I got it at, it's actually the Proven Winners brand, and I got it off of the clearance rack at Lowe's for $1. And the woman that I bought it from, she was like, "Oh, honey, this is dead." And I thought, well, just let me try it. Just let me try it. So it's been in here since probably summer of 2020, and I can't kill this plant. I don't do anything to this plant. I cut it back all the time. Hopefully you guys can see that, but it just won't die. It's just so happy. It's the happiest little plant right there, and it's loving its life. Another Limelight hydrangea. This is not a Limelight Prime. This is a Limelight. Look at this bloom. Oh, it's so beautiful. I just love this plant so much. I can't even tell you. All right, so over here off to the left, I planted this hibiscus. It's the berry crush. I'll put it on the bottom. When I planted it, it was about, I don't know, that tall, and it's quadrupled in size. So these are the last to break dormancy in the spring / early summer, but once they do, they go crazy. So this plant is going to start growing. It's probably going to get about 4 feet tall. But I wanted to add some color, of course, more color, right? Because I just don't have a lot of color in this spot. And I think that this hibiscus, it's a hardy hibiscus. It's the summerific hardy hibiscus from Proven Winners. I think that once that starts blooming, it's going to show so much color and it's going to be beautiful. So I'm very excited about that. Then if I swing around, you guys can see I have my black fence right here, and I have dahlias all along this black fence. And if you look close, you can see I have buds everywhere. There's a bud. There's a bud. There's a flower that's almost blooming. There's a bud. There's a bud. So I feel like I'm going to have to do a mid-June or an early July dahlia tour, just a dahlia tour, because it's just going to be so beautiful. I cannot wait for them all to start growing. They look gorgeous. I do have sad news. I thought my cafe au lait lived. It died, probably because this is my cafe au lait, and it wasn't coming, it wasn't growing, and then I got this little sprout, and I thought, oh, that's it. It came. It finally came. Then we had a heat wave, and it was like 106 degrees, and it just fried. So this poor cafe au lait, it is not happy. So cafe au lait and Franz Kafka, those are right here. They did not come up. So I have this blank spot right here. So I'm gonna go to the store. Here's a weed. I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna find a ready grown plant. I've already decided I'm gonna do it. It's just that tuber just must have not been happy. There must have been some bad tubers, in the grouping that I planted, because I did give my mom some tubers of the cafe au lait, it was a pack of 3, and hers are already growing and about to bloom. So I really just think I got a bad little group of tubers, but that's okay. All right, and then back down here, look at how beautiful this is. I wish all these cars weren't here because it would be so beautiful, but I live in the middle of a neighborhood, and we're just like everybody else in the world that can't park their cars in the garage because there's too much stuff in there. But it's so beautiful. It's really, really gorgeous. So right here, I have Bobo hydrangeas. So this is a crepe myrtle tree. Let me just back up and see if I can show you guys. I just want to show you guys because the end of this month to early July, this whole tree is gonna be pink. Like, it's going to be so beautiful. I'll show you a little picture right now of what it looked like last year. It's just so gorgeous, and we are just counting the days for it to start blooming. I just can't wait. I love this tree. I love the multi-trunk. It's just my absolute favorite tree, right? It's so gorgeous. And then underneath that, we planted 5 Bobo hydrangeas that as they grow in, I'm hoping it'll do kind of like a ring around there. I do have some foxtail ferns right here, and interspersed throughout them, I have some foxgloves, really beautiful. Right here, I have a white wands Veronica, which is so pretty, but look at this. It's like a purple one got mixed in with it, which I think is so funny. My mom was driving through Idaho, Eastern Oregon, and she stopped by Garden Answers' parents' garden nursery, and she bought me these, right? Because she knows that I watch Laura, and I love them. They're a zone 8. They only go up to zone 8, and they're a full sun. So I'm a zone 9B, so I put them in morning sun only, and look at how beautiful they are. So pretty. So Proven Winners and Walter's Gardens, they let me try out a bunch of their 2023 perennials that are coming out, and along with that shipment they also sent Veronica, I think it's Pink Perfusion is what I'll put it on the bottom of the screen if I'm saying it wrong. But what my plan is I think I'm going to plant it right here. I shouldn't tell you guys this, I should just wait for the video. But I think I'm going to plant it right here because obviously this Veronica or Speedwell is super happy in this spot, and I think it looks beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. All right, so coming down this way, I do have some more calla lilies. They are taking over. This is another plant that I just divided. These calla lilies, you could just dig the whole thing up and then break it in half and you get 2 plants. So I'm gonna have to divide these, and I'm actually gonna have to move them because they are encroaching on my Bobo hydrangeas. There's the Bobo right there, and there's the calla lily that's getting massive. You can see I still have another bloom. It's really beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous, but I want the Bobos, and I can put these calla lilies somewhere else. I'm not totally sure where, but they're just getting massive. They're getting so big. This ground cover I have right here, this is called Lamium. It's really beautiful. It flushes out with this beautiful purple flower, but it does scorch in the sun here in zone 9B. So I think it's worth it. I keep going back and forth on whether I want it or not, but I think I do want it. I think it's really beautiful. And that compared to the chartreuse green of this lemon coral sedum that I have lining my walkway. This is another one that I go back and forth on whether I like it or not. But I think I just have to recognize that plants have their good times and plants have their not so good times. You know what I mean? And a good time can make the not so good times totally worth it. A bad time can make the good times not even worth it at all. And I've taken out a lot of plants where it just wasn't worth it to deal with the hassle that, you know, whatever their problem had. But a lot of these plants that I kind of waffle on and I talk to you guys about saying, oh, I think I'm going to take it out, you know, and then the next month I totally change my tune. So. All right, so I think that is it for my mid-June front yard garden tour. We have done so much work in the front yard, specifically over in the oak tree garden bed this month, and I just think it paid off. I think it's so gorgeous. I'm so proud of it, and I think all the neighbors are happy as well. So that's really good. So stay tuned for my backyard garden tour for June. That should be coming out in just a couple days. Things are looking really good back there as well. I have to say, I love this time of year where it's so nice you don't want to go inside. And that's where I've been at almost every day except for the really, really hot triple-digit days. But all the other days, I just don't want to go inside because I'm just enjoying the weather so much. So I hope you all are getting some of the same type of weather. I know not everyone has. Some people have been getting, you know, the muggy, hot, humid, uncomfortable weather, but hopefully you all get a reprieve soon. Let me know if you have any questions about, you know, if I missed any plant identifiers or anything like that. Just let me know in the comments section and I will answer them the best I can. And I hope you all have a chance to get into your garden today.